Okay, this is significantly better than the last game, and I'm not just saying that because Carolina won. Fundamentally, on every level, they did everything right, and everything that they did wrong last game, I did not see a single hint of. There was not a single player tonight that I was remotely disappointed with. There were a few things I thought some guys could have done better, but I'd have to get really nitpicky to be mad at this effort. I think the Canes did a really, really good job tonight. So I'm going to go over all my notes here and we'll talk about everything. And then I'll call it a night. The Outbound report shows, the post game shows, they're not going to be very long. They're going to be 25, 30 minutes at the absolute most. And I will not be doing one on Friday because I will actually be in Pittsburgh for the game. So we'll get to some of the comments here before I start going through the notes. BTS, not the band, says the thing didn't appear on YouTube at first and I was confused. But also Yellow, good to see you, buddy. Your microphone is fixed. Ha ha ha. Yeah, because I'm not like using the one that's attached to the camera. Megan Schoen, welcome to the show. Forgive me if I pronounce your name wrong. Please feel free to correct me on how it's pronounced. That game felt so night and day different from the first one. That's actually the first thing that I have written on. I accidentally wrote Saturday instead of Friday. The very first thing that I wrote was better start than Saturday. Let's see. Caniac Jesus says, "I'm glad to take the win, but I want to express my belief that if that Heischer goal had been scored by Carolina, it would have 100% been called goalie interference." So the only reason I can't comment on that, the moment that Heischer scored, ESPN Plus froze on my TV. I tried to get it working again, and I had to watch the last 4 minutes of the game on my phone. No idea why, but then it said, make sure you're connected to the internet. But then I went on YouTube as soon as the game was over, and it was working just fine. I don't know why that happened, but I'll take your word for it on that because that was right around the time that my TV froze right before Heischer scored. And then I got the notification on my phone. I'm like, hell, here we go. KC, what's up, buddy? The boys look good. Great effort all around. Yeah, the very first thing I wrote, better start than Saturday. That was supposed to say Friday, but better start than game one. So then we'll go on from there. So starting out, KK, very physical early, and that's one of the first things to note with Jesperi Kotkaniemi. When he's playing physical, he's playing to his strengths and he's playing confidently, and I felt like that he was significantly better. I'm not just saying that because he got a point. I think that he played a lot better. When he's playing well, when he's playing confident, he has those intangibles. He plays with extra physicality, and he's hard to play against when he's playing confidently, and I saw much more of that tonight. His 200-foot game was solid. I'm going to look at the stats later and see how he did in the faceoff circle, but from what I could tell, it looked like he was doing a little bit better. Good chance 15-50. I wrote that one in particular because I felt like that's where I'm like, okay, this is not a fluke. This is going to be a different game than what the Canes had in their very first game of the season. It was not until the 15-50 mark when they had that first scoring chance I go, okay, I think that they figured out what they were doing wrong, and they dissected that first game, and they're already doing things to correct it. First line looking better, more dominant, much more fluid. I felt like that when they were in the offensive zone during sustained periods of time with offensive zone pressure, I thought the Canes were significantly better, especially that first line. Aho, Roslovic, or excuse me, I still want that line put back together. Aho, Jarvis, and Svechnikov were moving the puck a lot better. They were generating much better high danger chances. Jarvis was all over it tonight. I think that he was one of the top 5 best Canes that played tonight. I didn't get the chance to see who they named the 3 stars because I wanted to go ahead and get ready to do this and everything. Ghost Walker pairing looked good from the jump. They had a couple of little mistakes here and there. One of them I actually wrote kind of extensively about, but that pair looked really good from the start. And Tripp actually mentioned it at one point during the third, and this was something I was talking about before the season started. That pair, the more they start in the offensive zone, the more lethal they're going to be. That pair could potentially combine for upwards of 75, 80 points between those two guys. I've been really impressed with Sean Walker. He's great defensively, like even better than what I anticipated so far. It seems like both of those guys, and Gossesbear did have a little bit of time here before, but it seems like Sean Walker is adapting to this system really, really well, especially after this game. So there was one shift I noticed that they were in the middle of a line change. The KK Natchez and Svechnikov line was temporarily out there because they got caught up in the offensive zone, like mid change and everything. I noticed some good chemistry out of them. They developed a couple of scoring chances and everything that I really liked. I'm still a big advocate of trying out that line, but I'm also if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And right now, it does not look broke compared or based on what I saw in this game just now. So then moving on, 13-20, top line generates another high danger chance. Will probably score tonight, is what I wrote. And that was right after the TV timeout, the first TV timeout. At the 10-minute mark, I noted that Carolina had been doing a really good job of denying New Jersey transition. And that's one of the things that I talked about in the pregame show, is that New Jersey likes to move the puck up ice quickly. They play a lot of north-south hockey, and then even if you shut them down in the north-south game, they have a really good east-west game to take that extra step and get around you at the blue line, make a clean entry, and score off the rush. Carolina did a really, really good job of taking away open ice in the neutral zone, not allowing them to break out very cleanly. And when they did get the puck up ice, they didn't get to do it in the way that they wanted to. Carolina was doing really, really well at making sure if New Jersey did get up the ice, they didn't get up the ice cleanly. They didn't get up the ice with the numbers that they wanted. They shut them down really, really well. In the first 10 minutes, you could tell that they were already frustrating New Jersey with the ability to deny transition. So 9-minute mark, I wrote, Blake shows what got him drafted. And what I'm referring to there was that one play where he stepped up in the neutral zone, put pressure on whoever it was he took the puck away from, and started to generate a scoring chance. We see those high effort plays from Blake all the time. I really, really like what this kid is doing. He's very puck hungry. His puck pursuit is really, really good. And when you have a scoring touch on top of that, when you can drive possession and make individual effort offense like that, he's going to score a lot of goals. I always thought Jackson Blake could potentially have 18 to 20 this season, and he's already got one. So he's definitely off to a good start there. So we'll see how all that pans out, but I really did like that. He's all over my notes tonight. So 7:25 remaining in the first, the Devils with sustained pressure, 2 quick chances, and that's one of the other things I was talking about before the game. One of the other things I was talking about before the game was that New Jersey does not need a lot of time in the neutral zone because of the scoring talent that they have. So the less time they spend there, the better. But they can make more of their time in the offensive zone than what Carolina does. And what I mean by that is New Jersey can be in the offensive zone for, say, half the amount of time of Carolina and have half the shot attempts and still put up just as many goals. Luckily, Carolina dominated at both ends of the ice tonight and didn't allow New Jersey to stay in the neutral zone for too long. So then I go down to 6:40, and here's what I wrote. And, you can see what I'm writing. You can see where I wrote it right here. 6:40 remaining in the first period. Blake hard work nearly pays off. Will score tonight. This kid is really, really good. So 5:50, Gostisbehere made a mistake. He took a kind of an ill-advised shot. He didn't have a whole lot of room between the person who was defending him and the net itself. I want to say it was Jesper Bratt. He bounced it off his shins, but he worked really hard. No, it was Dawson Mercer. And he worked really hard, got back, made sure to disrupt Mercer from getting a clean shot off. And that was the only glaring defensive mistake that Gostisbehere made tonight. The rest of the night, he put on a masterclass. He could have, instead of wearing 4, he could have wore 74 for some of the plays he made tonight. So he also showed at 13:20 his dynamic skating ability, where he kept that play alive at the blue line and then managed to work it into the middle of the ice, going all the way around the top of the circle. I was really, really impressed with him tonight. Now, I know that I'm a Gostisbehere fan. I've made that abundantly clear, but hold up, let me fix this damn camera. So at the end of the first period, like you guys may have seen, I'm starting to put out little intermission reports now, just little quick written things during intermission. Please let me know what you think of those, what you would like to see differently done with them, if you think they're okay the way that they are, all that type of stuff. Just you tell me. It's just one of those things I just kind of started doing on a whim, and I just kind of take some of my notes, I condense them, and I try to put together like 3 or 4 bullet points to talk about how the game is going without getting too detailed, so it can be read in under a minute or so and not interfere with someone's viewership of the game. That's my plan for those. I'm going to try and make them a little bit more fluid as things go, so I think I'll just keep it to shots, penalties, and some bullet points. So in the second period, New Jersey had a much better start in the second period than they had in the first. Damn, this camera. Hold up, let me see. Camera's not cooperating with me. But you know what? Considering what I look like, I'm surprised the fucking lens doesn't break every time that I turn it on. New Jersey did start the period better. Slavin made a bad pinch, and Jack Hughes scored at the other end after using Aho as a screen. Aho was on the back check. He was doing what he was supposed to do. Timo Meyer was opened up, and he was in an ideal position in front of the net in the slot. And I think Kochekov, Trip Tracy said the same thing. I think that Kochekov anticipated that he was going to make that pass to Timo Meyer, that Jack Hughes was going to make that pass instead of actually putting it on net. He put it on net and scored New Jersey's first goal of the game. It was a very deceptive shot on the part of Jack Hughes. So I was talking about him a lot in the pregame show. He can make something out of nothing with possession in the offensive zone, and he can do it very, very quickly. I don't know why this thing doesn't want to focus now. Let me see if I can. There we go. All right, that's better. All right, so then right after Hughes scored that goal, Canes had they had a very responsive follow-up shift to that. KK got about the perfect shot opportunity, and it was just like Game 4 against the Islanders in overtime when Varlamov saved the one with the butt end of his stick. You know, sometimes the poor kid can't buy one, but luckily he did get a point later in the night. I think that'll help his confidence. 14:30, I noticed that the Canes were starting to really start to take over this period. They were having very dominant shifts. They were doing significantly better. They were spending a lot more time in the offensive zone, and they were still doing the good things as far as making sure that transition was denied. And then once they were doing really good with denying transition in the neutral zone and making sure that New Jersey did not stay in the offensive zone for a long time, they started building on that and sustaining a lot more time in the offensive zone, and their transition game got better as the game went along. So at the 12:43 mark, I noticed Canes get first power play. It starts poorly, totally out of sync, one good shot attempt from Burns. That power play was absolute horse shit. I never want to see that again. Like, that was just not good. Too much thinking, too much passing, too much. They were just trying to do too much. That was one of those things where they needed to simplify the game, and they got so shook up with it that they started making drop passes to nobody. And had they done that in a worse spot of the ice, we might not be talking about the Canes winning the game right now. So when it comes to the power play, somehow it still looks better than what was going on Friday night, but it still needs some work. You're going up against a team in Pittsburgh that's probably not going to have the best penalty killing this year. You want to be able to have that big special teams net positive with them. So the power play, they definitely need to do some discussion on that between now and Friday, because it did not look good at all. I was not digging that. So calm it down. Don't try and do too much. Get a good cycle going. Get 2, 3, maybe 4 passes at the absolute most and shoot the damn puck. They are way overthinking it. You got a lot of guys who can play the crash and bang game and get those juicy rebounds, like Svechnikov, for example. Aho can do it when he needs to. And we've also seen that Shane Gostisbehere has a cannon, so he's going to put pucks in the right place. All you have to do is make traffic for him and other things of the like. Let me pull up one other thing here to verify one thing before I comment on it, just to make sure I am right. Yep. Okay. So Carolina only had that one power play and did not score on it. So going 0% on the power play is not a big deal there, but they need to go ahead and start sorting the power play out sooner rather than later. But they do look like they've returned to form in a lot of ways on a lot of other stuff. And then we'll see if that sustains on the road. Let's see. And then at 10:17, I'm not kidding. I actually wrote this. I don't want to put it up to the camera because I don't want to mess up the focus again. I wrote Danger Zone, the song by Kenny Loggins from my favorite movie, Top Gun, plays goal incoming. From there, at the 10:55 mark, Seth Jarvis scored on a turnaround shot, assisted by Andrei Svechnikov. And that was really awesome to finally see us get a 5-on-5 goal from somewhere other than the shutdown line. I'm really happy about that. He used Dougie Hamilton as a screen. It was just a hard-working play. He was really puck hungry in the slot. Seth Jarvis did just about everything right tonight. So 8:05, Svechnikov penalty. This is what turned out to be an important kill. Chatfield and Slavin in particular, I found to be very excellent on this kill. Aho was out for the entire kill, and I thought that he did really well on that. He took a long, heavy shift, and he played really well. Really good positioning, really good forechecking, and there was 18 seconds left in that penalty kill when he got off. That was very Rod Brindamore-like of him. I really enjoyed watching him do that because Sebastian Aho is one of the best skilled penalty killers in this league. And what I mean by that is when you have your top 6 guys killing penalties and you trust them as much as Rod trusts Aho, he's a scoring threat more so than a lot of other people in shorthanded situations, as we've seen him score shorthanded goals in the past. 505, great defense by Gostisbehere, referring to when he left his feet for that one play and everything. And this is what I was talking about when I did the stream last night, it was last night, where I was talking about the differences between Gostisbehere and Shea, ultimately why I think Gostisbehere is a better player. Part of that showed tonight because, like I said, Shea defends through physicality, but as far as having someone who's going to disrupt a pass or prevent a 2-on-1, Shane Gostisbehere did that tonight. He sprawled out, he laid down, he attacked the person with the puck, and he made sure to take away whatever ability they had. If they were going to get that puck over him, they either had to take a low probability shot or they had to put some serious sauce on that puck to get it where it needed to go. So we'll see how he continues to play over the season. But tonight was exactly everything that I talked about with Shane Gostisbehere. He showed every one of those assets of his game tonight, including the vision. He didn't get an assist, I don't think. I'm pretty sure he only had that 1 point, which was that goal. Yes. Okay. So Gostisbehere, he showed tonight everything that I've been talking about with him, and we'll see him continue to build on that game. I really think that this guy can have a 65-point season with Carolina, and that would be saying something because anybody who comes here to play, their point totals are going to be lower than pretty much anywhere else they play because of the way that Rod Brindamore does things. Not necessarily wrong, but it is different. All right, so 3:30 remaining in the second period. I noted that the Canes appear to be starting to take over. Sustained offensive zone time was really heavy. At the end of the second period shots were 14-5 Carolina, if I remember correctly. Let me look. Shots by period. Okay, 13-7, so they amended it a little bit because it was 14-5 when I wrote it down. All right, so for the third period, Canes got off to a pretty decent start. William Carrier, puck hungry, worked really hard. Jordan Stahl got on breakaway. Jacob Markstrom managed to stop it. 18-28, Svechnikov made a good, patient rebound retrieval. And what I mean by that is there was one point where he was down low helping out the defense. Shot went to Kochekov. He scooped it up, and instead of panicking with it, he took a split second, decided to do the right thing with it. He had plenty of time and space. He backhanded it up out of the zone, and he made a really smart play because had he tried to just send that up the middle of the ice, there was nothing but white sweaters every way that he would have sent it. He did a really good job there. Svechnikov's defensive game has come a really long way in the last few years, and I feel like that he's had a decent start this season, and I feel like he's going to build on that. I really do. I would like to see him get at point per game type of total over the course of the season, particularly with goal scoring, but I don't think he'll score as much until he's playing on the right wing again, but we'll see if that happens. I don't think that they will, though. 15:57, Devils looking slower and tired. This was at that point where I felt like Carolina had turned it into the traditional war of attrition through speed that they always use, and that they managed to really take the wind out of the Devils' sails at that point. 14:42, Jarvis continues to fight for pucks and work hard in the slot. He won a puck battle with, I think it was Jesper Bratt or somebody like that. I'm not exactly sure. And he put it on net, generating high danger chances out of nowhere in situations where not a lot of players can, and a lot of times, but this kid is a great mix of skill and effort. He goes in there, he goes in the corners, and he fights really hard to get pucks. He grinds, he digs them out, but then he can also do the high-skilled plays where he's pivoting his skates, using his body to protect the puck, using his low center of gravity and his ability with body contact to protect the puck, and then get a quality shooting opportunity off. So very impressed with him tonight. 14 minutes remaining, high offensive zone pressure shift, and it seemed like that went on for about 2 minutes, or that went on for about 1 minute. Then at the 13-minute mark, I wrote the Devils were pressing hard. The Devils started being even riskier with the transition plays, trying to get the puck up ice faster with numbers, flying the zone even quicker, even more preemptively. in order to try and tie the game. And during this sustained pressure in the offensive zone, I wrote at 12:21, Kochekov makes an important save, and I feel like that was kind of the turning point for that particular sequence to slow New Jersey down, get a whistle, and then everything went back in Carolina's favor a little bit from there. 11:24, Canes established more offensive zone dominance after suffocating them in the neutral zone. The more New Jersey tried to fly the zone quickly, New Carolina adjusted. Carolina countered. Carolina did what they had to do differently to be able to make sure that New Jersey could not get the puck up ice, and made sure to take away all their lanes, all their passing lanes in the neutral zone. They shut them down, or they at least made them such a low quality passing opportunity that they would have to deflect it into the zone, dump it in. They weren't getting the entries with numbers that they wanted. And then at that point, they were playing on Carolina's terms. They were having to go in, play dump and chase, and go get the puck. And that doesn't favor a lot of teams, especially not one like New Jersey. But it does favor a team like Carolina, but they were playing on Carolina's terms at that point. 10:22, New Jersey is having to recoil to break out but Canes are limiting the quality. And what I mean by that is when New Jersey was trying to break out of their own defensive zone and got to the point where they couldn't even just make stretch passes anymore, they were having whoever had possession of the puck had to recoil back, pass it to somebody else, or coil all the way back, make a heads-up play, and try and extend an extra pass. Every time that you do that, that's 5, 10, however many more seconds you're killing off the clock. That was favorable to the Hurricanes. I remember one particular play, Jack Hughes started to exit, and Martin Necas was there, and Hughes was not able to go around him. He was actually forced back into his defensive zone, had to take an extra second to figure out where he was going to go, what he was going to do. And that is very, very valuable when you're talking about there's just over 10 minutes remaining in the third period, and you have a 2-1 lead at that point. Or, I'm sorry, it was 2-1 lead at that point. Blake first goal, Orlov assist. And then shortly after that, so let me not trivialize Jackson Blake's first goal. It does not surprise me that the kid got it in the manner in which he did because of how hard he works. He worked really hard to get to the front of the net, right place, right time, great hand-eye coordination, and took that shot from Dima and put it where it needed to go. Very impressed with his game overall tonight. And that's a beauty of a first NHL goal. It really is. So not only did he punch his ticket to the team for now, he's making a case to stay once Lemieux is healthy. We'll see how that goes down. Let's see. Blake called for tripping on Seamus Casey. I was kind of about that penalty. That being said, if I were the official standing at that angle, I can see why he called it. I wrote this PK can be important, and then it turned into a 5-on-3 with 5:33 remaining. Jacob Slavin made an amazing block during the 5-on-3 sequence. However, Nico Hischier did later score at 3-2. That was when my ESPN Plus shit just kind of quit. Don't know why. And I did not see that entire sequence. I just know what happened from looking at the box score. I didn't get a chance to go back and watch the video of it. When I did get it pulled up on my phone, there was 4:30 remaining. The Canes had an offensive zone draw during the second half of that the back half of that 5-on-3 with a conventional 5-on-4. And 1:36, there was a risky change right around the bench. The Canes made sure not to touch the puck, so that way that there wasn't a too many men call. Aho was nowhere near any of that. Got past to him. He goes, puts it in the empty net, seals the deal for the Canes, and that was the end of that game. So as far as what Carolina did right tonight, I will say everything. They executed that game about as well as you can. I understand that New Jersey did not have what I imagine they could say is their first pair or maybe their second pair with Pesce and Hughes, because that's who I think that they will pair together in the near future. But everything Carolina needed to do, they did. Players like Jack Hughes, you don't outright shut them down. A lot of times you just mitigate what they can do, and that's what they did in this case. So all around, great job. Great to see Jackson Blake get his first goal. Great to see Kokoniemi playing better. Great to see Gostisbehere adapting to the system really quickly, building on the foundation he built when he was here for 23 games the first time. So I'm going to go through the comments, and then we're going to call it a night. All righty, let me... Trying to make sure. All right. Casey, what's up, dude? Boys look good. Great effort all around. I think I read that one already. Megan says, also a really good welcome to the NHL moment from Jackson Blake. Yeah, that was awesome. That was great. I'm so happy for that kid. He worked so hard to make the team, and then to score that beauty of a goal. Like, I'm so happy for him. Casey also says Andre was looking like the power forward he is. Yes, he's starting to play the way that we need him to, where he's taking possession of the puck, taking it wide, dropping the shoulder, and using his frame, using his speed, using his power, using how stable he is on his feet to work it to the front of the net. Because more often than not, that's going to generate you really, really good chances and everything. And I saw a lot more of it. Missouri Mike, what's up, bro? Let's go, Canes. Fuck Jersey. Let's go. Fly Henry Fly says, I think Jackson Blake can get on the second line instead of Roslovic, get an offensive line going. As he integrates, I think that's a thing. That was part of or that's a possibility. That was my rationale with putting him with Martinook and Stahl. If it were up to me, that's what I would have done, just so I could be like, hey, you already know how to score goals. Learn from these two guys how to refine the defensive aspects of your game, and next thing you know, you could potentially put Blake in the top 6. He is that good. So Travis C says, hey, man, great to see you. I went to the home opener, much better game from the boys. Yeah, I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. I'm glad I didn't drive 5 hours plus to come down there and see that one. But I'm really excited about Pittsburgh this weekend because from the outset of this game, I had a completely different vibe from this team tonight versus Friday. I was much, much happier with what they were doing. Casey says, Caniac Jesus, your statement is 100% correct. Travis C says, just correct. Cold one for Blake tonight. Kid is hardworking. Yeah, he's hardworking, and he's got the skill to go with it, and that goes really far on this team. For example, Seth Jarvis. It's when you have that type of skill set like he has, the ability to work really hard to go get pucks, really hard puck pursuit, good at, getting in there, stick lifts, takeaways, and then he's got really good acceleration too. So once he does take a puck away from somebody, he takes one step and he's gone. So this kid's a perfect fit so far. Coconut Kyle says, just got off and let's fucking go. Nice to see we got a W. Got to watch it on demand in a bit. Yeah, no, it was a good game. I don't know how to say your name, buddy. I'm sorry. Did Aho look like a bum in this match? No. The scoring is not coming with him at the moment. I mean, he did have the empty netter at the end, but as far as defensively, the 200-foot game and being the guy who kind of makes his line mates better, I felt like he was that guy tonight. He had the aggressive forechecking going. He had the solid 200-foot game. He was really good in the defensive zone. He disrupted a lot of transition, prevented a lot of shot opportunities while they were under siege in the defensive zone for several sequences. I think that he played great tonight. He brought all the intangibles that he brings, and when he does that, the points will come. So Aho night and day better from the first game, because in the first game the whole team sucked, but I was particularly upset with how bad he played in the first game. But this one, night and day different. Philip McRevis, maybe you're right. Ghost is better than Shea. Yeah, I came to that conclusion for a reason. A lot of people were upset with me posting that, but I came to that conclusion because I was looking at data. I'm watching video of these guys, and I feel like in the video where I compared them, I gave Shea his due. I really did. I said there were certain things that Shea does better than Gostisbehere. But as far as like, if money's not a factor, if someone says you can have either one of these players, you can only have one of them though, I'm taking Shea 10 times out of 10. Or excuse me, I'm taking Gostisbehere 10 times out of 10 because he's more likely to produce and he still defends well, and he showed that tonight. Focus. Oh, you're talking about the camera. Okay. Travis C says that Coconut Kyle had to listen to the game because I forgot Bally was still a thing. I thought they went bankrupt. Yeah, I'm sick of Bally. I do know a Dallas Stars fan who told me that their Victory Plus stuff is pretty good. It's got some, bugs and everything that they need to work out, but for the most part, they're really, really happy with it when compared to dealing with Bally Sports. I'm hoping the Canes go in that direction, especially with me moving back into the market here in a few months, because I would have to pay for something of cable, like something along the lines of cable, to be able to watch games. So we'll see. 2C's played well tonight. Yes, you had the steady defensive game of Jacob Slavin, the dominant defensive game of Jacob Slavin, and it flies under the radar so much. Defense is so underappreciated, but Jacob Slavin was just Jacob Slavin tonight, and that's all you need him to do. So I was really happy with his game, especially on that penalty kill. I know that 5-on-3 ultimately New Jersey did score, but Jacob Slavin made some really key plays in that because even though they scored on that 5-on-3, the more time you take off the clock at that point in the game, the better, because you don't want to give them any more time to tie it. Coconut Kyle says, yeah, I'm out of market and have ESPN Plus at $8 a month for this very thing alone. Fly Henry Fly says, I still get blackouts on ESPN Plus. Yeah, since I'm all the way up in Northern Virginia and the Caps are the team up here and everything, I typically don't deal with them. Mine just did some weird freeze thing today, and it just, yeah, I don't even know how to describe it. Like right when Heischer scored, or right before he scored, I should say. Coconut Kyle says, yeah, it's got to be out of market. It's a steal for that price. It's not even offered anymore. I think it's from 4 or 5 years ago. Oh, yeah. Name I can't understand what scary profile picture says. I mean, power play gets better throughout the season. It's not something you can practice that much, need to gel. Yeah, I wanted to. It definitely is something that you have to do in practical application to get it going the way that you need to get it going. It just even felt a little bit off. That was the one thing tonight that I was kind of like, I wasn't really happy about it. But they also only got one opportunity at it. And when they did finally settle down in the last 45 seconds or so, they did generate that one really good chance where Burns got that beautiful shot off. If he'd placed it a little bit better, it was probably in the back of the net. They finally had a good cohesive cycle going. They made 3-4 passes. Burnsy got it on his stick, took a shot, and they'll get it together. It's just making bad drop passes in the defensive zone to start the break, or to start the breakout when you weren't really like under any pressure. That type of stuff bothers me a little bit, but they'll get it sorted out. Travis E says, how was the ice tonight? When I went to opening night, the ice was really choppy. Was it better? Yes. The ice was significantly better tonight, and you can tell, like, because you can look on the TV, on the broadcast, and you can tell when it's really choppy. Friday night, it had ruts all the way to China. So, like, that was definitely a factor, but the other team's playing on the same sheet of ice you are. So you can only use that excuse so much, but it was definitely a factor. Tonight, the ice looked a lot better. I would imagine that something was said to the team about that, like, hey, or the team said something to the arena staff about that, like, hey, that's unacceptable. That's got to be fixed. I don't know if it was just really humid on Friday or what, or if the dehumidifier settings were wrong or the compressor settings were wrong or whatever. But yeah, no, the ice was unacceptably bad on Friday, but I can't say that that's why they lost. It definitely didn't help, but they did a lot of things wrong. Coconut Kyle says, I agree with not even trying to spell it. Yeah, I got to figure out what I'm going to call. I think I'm just going to call him scary profile picture. Matthew Brown says, now that is more like it. Power play definitely needs some work, and Kucherov had a very minor blemish, but I loved it. I do agree they need to just shoot pucks at the net instead of playing fancy. Yeah, 2 or 3 passes, settle it down, don't overthink it, put it on net, and let the guys that you have in front of the net, the guy in the bumper spot, all that type of stuff, let them do their job from there. Fly Henry Fly says our power play was really good last year. If I remember they had that hot stretch, which might have inflated it, but was it just because we had a better team? Yeah, the power play was better for several stretches of time over last season. It was at the point, I think it was second in the NHL when everything was all said and done. And that was like something we'd been trying to find for a long time. And part of it was we got a good second unit together, and then it dried up when we really needed it in the playoffs. Because had it been going during those first 3 games, we probably would have at least forced 7 with the Rangers. Whereas this year, it seems like they're more leaning on the first unit, and then the second unit's just trying to go out there and, maybe get a greasy one while everybody catches their breath right before you need the bump up shifts when you go back to 5-on-5. So let's see. It'll get worked out. I just don't like it when there's drop passes in neutral zone with absolutely no pressure and people overskate them, or there's just nobody there at all. And the latter is worse, and I saw a lot of that on that power play tonight. Casey says, haha, Top Gun is a classic. My cats are named Maverick and Goose. That is fucking cool. See, if he hadn't already been named Frank, he probably would have had a Top Gun type of name, but I was just like, he looks like a Frank. Like, I couldn't, like, you can't really see him. You can see his paws because he's laying on the floor in front of the fan. But I did think if I get one day when I get an additional dog, I think I might name him Rooster or something like that. Yeah, I've actually thought about that. Like No, I'm not replacing you. I'm going to get you another brother because right now all you have is a rat for a brother. And the other dog, his name is Butters, named after the South Park character because that's my girlfriend's dog and that's what she named him. But yeah, we're gonna get if when we get another dog, I think Rooster's gonna be his name. I just really like that name and I really like that character. But I can talk about that all night. Let me get back on the subject matter. Fly Henry Fly. It was the playoffs where the power play dried up, but yeah, regular season was really good. Yeah, it totally dried up in the playoffs. I think Terry Vinen always had more shorthanded goals. I think Aho did the last 2 seasons, and maybe it was Teravainen had more before that. I'd have to look. I can't remember off the top of my head. Fly Henry Fly says, I remember the Rangers series like 2 for 21 or something, but it's only 2 games. Not that worried. Yeah, it dried up at the wrong time in the Ranger series because had it been going in the first 3 games, Carolina at least forces that to 7, or maybe they just take over the series. Like if they'd won 1 game in New York, I think they would have won the series. I really do. But that's the one thing that we'll never know. So Travis, he says, I wonder how our PK is going to look like this year without Brady and Brett. It's going to be fine. You have 3 pairs that are capable of killing penalties. Gossespierre and Walker are better at the defensive aspect of things than even I anticipated they were going to be. I saw it as a pair that could split the defensive duties, lean on Gossespierre more for the offense, particularly the playmaking aspect of it, and lean on Walker to be able to jump in the rush at the right time, turn a 2-on-2 into 3-on-2, for example, and use that really good shot of his, and then use his speed to get back in the event that the puck doesn't go in the net or it's not frozen. But now I'm seeing actually how good Sean Walker is defensively. He's allowing for Shane Gossespierre to really open up, or excuse me, how good Sean Walker is defensively is allowing Shane Gossespierre to open up more on the offensive side of things even. And when he can make those confident plays and not have any hesitancy because he knows he's going to be covered, then, and not to mention he knows how good the forwards are at back checking, Gossespierre is going to create a lot of opportunities for the team just because of that. Coconut Kyle says, glad to have Ghosty back. Yeah, me too, bud. I absolutely love that guy. Fly Henry Fly, or Coconut Kyle says at Fly Henry Fly. Yeah, the microscope is on it for the failure for the last couple of postseasons. Yeah, and even withstanding that, I was so just absolutely pissed off at everything that now I can actually have a focal point of one thing to be mad about, and right now that's the power. I wouldn't even say mad. I just think that it needs some work sooner rather than later, because this team's going to have to do some scrapping to make sure it does make the playoffs. I'm pretty sure they will, but I just don't want them sitting in wild card 2 on April 18th. That's all it is. Matthew P says KK was super impressive on that goal, pinned 2 Devils to the boards and kicked the puck to Nate. Just phenomenal. That's what you need out of him. When he plays that physical brand of hockey, when he grinds, when he uses his size, uses his reach, that's the type of results you get. KK can be a power forward if he refines that part of his game. All he's got to do is go out there and lay the body on people, turn his brain off, and the points will come, as we saw tonight. Coconut Kyle says, at Travis C, yes, oddly enough, gave them time to get it right before a trend began. Matthew P says, and Blake with a perfect flyby deflection, professional goal scorer's goal, looked like he's been doing it for years. Yeah, he scored a lot of goals like that in NCAA where he just telegraphed where he needed to be in front of the net, and then he had that really good hand-eye coordination. So you're going to see a lot of goals out of Jackson Blake like that. When the season's all said and done and we look at a heat map of where he got his goals, the overwhelming majority of them are going to be between the dots, I imagine, just based on the videos I watched of him when he was playing in NCAA. So Matthew P says, love to see KK is putting in the grit plays because that's a good sign. Scary profile picture says Kokaniemi has always put in the grit. That's his problem. Yeah, it's like, okay, so when I say put in the grit and, do the physical game and everything like that, Kokaniemi is one of those guys that I think builds off of a physical game, and when he's playing physically, he's playing skilled. So if he goes out there and hits people, he forces turnovers, he has more time with possession of the puck, and when he pushes people off of him and creates time and space for himself, then he's a better playmaker because he's not feeling as much pressure on him. That's what I mean by that. So it's like the physicality's got to come first, and then the rest will come from there. Because there's still a little bit of a lack of physicality on this team. Kokaniemi could be part of the solution to that problem. Where'd it go? Sorry, I lost the comments I was on. Here we go. Casey says, Nate just stepped up big on defense tonight. Hope he keeps it up. Yes, I was very happy with his defensive game. I was particularly happy with his forecheck because he's not an aggressive forechecker. He's more of a technical one. He's more likely to angle someone off than come directly at him like Martinook, but he did really, really well in that tonight. Fly Henry Fly says Hurricanes hockey needs to be good because every other damn sport aside from college basketball is terrible in this state. Yeah, that's why it's like if an MLB team comes to Raleigh, I'm going to stick with being a Braves fan just because like I'm going to stick with the team that disappoints me for a long time and then wins a World Series every 23 years or whatever it was since they had their last one, 1995, after, when they had the one in 2021 and then they had the one in 95 before that. Travis C says, what do you think Brett brings to the Devils? I have a feeling once he gets healthy, their defense is going to be pretty nice. So I think what they were looking for with Brett Pesce is they saw him be the safety valve for Brady Shea that allowed him to open up the offensive side of his game. I think that the plan is, and I've spoken to Neil, shout out to you, Neil Villapiano, who is a really big Devils fan, and he does a lot of hockey media stuff. He's like a writer. He's on a Flames podcast, and he's got his own show for the Devils and everything. When I asked him that, does he think that they specifically went out and got Brett Pesce to be the safety valve for Luke Hughes? He said, yes, I think that's the plan. So I think that that's what they're doing is they're giving Luke Hughes a low-risk guy, a solid defensive guy, someone who can shut down, 2-on-1s a whole lot because Luke Hughes is a high-risk, high-reward player. He does turn the puck over, but he also does produce. But they want Brett Pesce to be that safety valve for Luke Hughes, and I'm pretty sure that's the specific reason why they went out and got him specifically for Luke Hughes. I really do believe that. Scary profile picture says, glad to hear I stayed awake for the season start, and Aho was awful against Tampa. The whole team was awful, but Aho that night, I was kind of like, bro, you cannot have many more games like this. I don't expect you to get off to I don't expect Aho to get off to a hot start because he kind of never has. Here and there he has. But I do remember, him taking the first 15 games to get a goal was a pretty common thing. If he's ever going to hit 100 points, and I don't think that that's this season, I think the window for that really starts next season. If he's ever going to have 100 points, he's got to get off to a really hot start. So we'll see. I think that the playmaking element with him is going to really carry him into the future. He doesn't have to make as much individual effort offense because he's got a better team around him. And the team around him that he's going to have in the future is going to be even better than the one we have now. And eventually better than the one we just had over the last 2 seasons, which if you ask me, if you're adjusting for the eras in which they played, it was better than the Cup team. It really was. Super soft and out of position. Yeah, he was not good in the first game at all. Casey says, I pay $20 a month for Bally Sports. Yeah, that's probably what I'm going to have to do when I get there and everything. Fly Henry Fly says, I feel like Aho always has a slow start, and I feel his best stretches are from late November to January. Then he usually gets hot in March and April too. That's what it seems like, but he's always been a slow starter. Like I remember for a while every season it took him 15 to 17 games to get a goal. Like he would play good defensively. He would get a lot of assists, but like as far as putting a puck in the net, he used to not be able to do that for the first few games, and he would get off to these really frustrating starts. I remember the year after the offer sheet thing, he was super, super like just not himself for a few games. But then once he started scoring, he got really, really good. And the 2019-2020 season that ultimately did not reach a normal conclusion, he had 38 goals that year, and I think that he was on the short list to win the Selke, and then everything changed. I was really, really happy with how he was playing that year, and like that was when I really started becoming an Aho believer. I really did. Like I always liked the kid, but I didn't realize that he was going to be like basically an elite franchise type of player, which is what he's turned into. Casey says, awesome. Troll Trades, what's up, buddy? I just posted about the Canes win. Travis C, so are you going to the Pens game? They look mid so far this season. I think we might be getting the W, fingers crossed. Yeah, I am going up there for that. And I will try to do a pre-recorded Landfall live, or well, it won't be live if it's pre-recorded now, will it? A pre-recorded Landfall hour show and have that play right before. And then I will probably do a written post game after that. I won't be posting anything during the intermission. What I will be doing is going to check out the Rivers Casino that they have there because it's a corner bar at the arena. And they're supposed to be building one of those into Lenovo Center based on the renderings that were put forth with the building renovations. So I want to go get an idea of what that looks like for myself so I can report back on it. I've only been to 3 NHL arenas. When the Thrashers were playing, I can't remember what the name of that place was. Lenovo Center and Capital One. And by the time that this season is over, I plan on being in PPG Paints Arena, Wells Fargo Center, maybe Prudential Center, and whatever they call the arena in Florida now, Amaranth, I believe. I plan on being there. And I'm going to try to get one more in, but I'm planning to do 5 road games this season. And then in a couple of years, I'm going to try and do 5 more. So Scary Profile Pick says, I'm not really talking about points, but Aho baseline should be a solid center. Yeah, and he was tonight, and it was night and day compared to what he was on Friday. Fly and Refly says he's been very solid since he's been a rookie, top 15 center for the last 5-6 years now. Yeah, I would say that. I was happy that NHL put him up at top as the 12th best center in the league. I was really, really happy about that. So I think that's about the best they're going to rank him until he has 100 points, even though I think that he deserves to be in the top 10. I really do. There's a lot of okay, one day I'm going to make my video where I have stuff where I'm comparing Jack Eichel, Sebastian Aho, Elias Pettersson, and a few others. Aho is kind of always going to be underrated just because he doesn't score enough, because that's what they do to appeal to more fans, I guess, or appeal to, more casual fans or whatever. They just say, hey, look, this guy scores a lot, and there's a lot more to the game than that. That's why when people think that I base my opinion of Shane Gostisbehere being better than Brady Shea strictly off of offense, they have no idea how I operate. Let's see. Dylan Bollinger, what's up, dude? Well, I got to listen to the game. Yeah, I'm sorry about the black screen thing or whatever happens. I'm going early January to the Pens game. Yeah, I'm not going to make many home games this year. That's one I'm going to try to make. The 2 that I'm planning on making, I want to make the Eric Stahl number retirement, and I want to go to Whalers night this year because I was supposed to go to Whalers night last year, and my boss fucked me over. Otherwise, I would have been there. Scary Pick says Aho will always be a 2-way center against Tampa. He just stayed out of the play so much it looked awful. Yeah, I love the 2-way game Aho has, but you're right, he just wasn't himself that night. Troll Trey says, did you see the goalie goal? No, I haven't. I will look that up though. Casey says we need all-star Svechnikov this year. Yeah, we do. I think we're going to get him because this past offseason, he got to actually train. He wasn't hyper-focused on rehabbing his ACL. So now he can actually just play the game, go out there, focus on playing, and now he's doing that. And I think he's got he had some jitters, maybe he had some fear from where he had such a bad injury. So he'll get better as it goes. Coconut Kyle says Prudential Center, it's like a second home for us. Yeah, it is. Troll Trades, if someone is trying to go to every NHL arena, they have to go back to NC. Yeah, that is true. Panzer Witch. Oh, got it. That is cool. I will take that. I don't know what a Panzer Witch is. I know what a Panzer Faust is. I know what a Panzer Shrek is. I know what a Panzer IV is. I used to play World of Tanks a lot. Travis C says, are you going to upload it every game? If so, big credit to your channel is growing. A lot of love from us, bro. Yes, thank you so much. I will do it as often as I can. So the week of November the 5th, my girlfriend and I have decided that we will not be here. We're going to be in a cabin. We're going to do a little vacation. And that week, I probably won't be uploading anything. I might try to make some slides of some sort and hand that, and maybe hand that off to like one of my buddies over on Caniac Report or Caniac Sessions and ask them to do it for me during that week, possibly. We'll see. Megan says, I'm headed to the Vegas game in Raleigh with my dad and aunt. Oh, that's Cool. So like the last time that I went to I went to see them play Vegas in the 22-23 season, and I'm reluctant to ever go see them play Vegas again because I wore my Derek Stepan sweater. Yes, I have a Derek Stepan sweater. It's if you haven't heard the joke, go look it up. But there's a reason why I have it. I wore my Derek Stepan sweater. The weather was really nice that day. I went to Flying Saucer. I had a taco pizza. I was really confident that we were going to have a good game. And then that was when Vegas killed us 4-0 and Svechnikov tore his ACL. I have not worn that sweater since, and I'm afraid to go watch them play Vegas because that game was just awful. Everything about it was awful. Dylan Bollinger says, is Rod going to rotate goalies or one be our main guy? I'm not really sure. Just out of the simple fact that he basically said he's not going to answer any more questions about it. I think that the starter job is kind of up for grabs. If Kochetkov continues to play well like he did tonight, he definitely has a case to get that. I don't know. That's a hard one to answer. So Megan says, I'm headed to the Vegas game in January. My dad and I'm pretty excited to go to a home game in person. Yeah, I love going down there when I can because it's nice to just get away from the hustle and bustle. I know Raleigh is still a city, but it's a lot less arduous of a place to be than up here, it seems like at times. Panzer Witch says, want to visit PNC again. Just rough to find a reason to visit North Carolina from Finland. If you want to come to like a 3-game homestand or a 4-game homestand or something like that, I mean, that would be like, that's what I try and do. I try to come down there for more than one game to make it worth the trip. Coconut Kyle says, love the channel. Keep it up. Thank you. And the pre and post game shows, effectively known as Landfall Hour and Outbound Report, will become more elaborate, more detailed, and more visuals as they go along. I'm still just trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to go about it. Troll Trade says, it's the Wild who got the goalie goal. So was it Fleury? Because Gustafsson played for them night before last, I think it was. Because I remember watching Minnesota and Winnipeg. And I'm trying to remember. Panzerwitch says, and make it okay with the battle axe. Troll Trade says, I didn't realize how big Caniac Sessions was on X until like 3 days ago. Yeah, they've gotten pretty big. Panzerwitch says, I'll rock my Pickanin jersey. Oh, dude, I was at that game when that happened to him. The whole thing with his heel getting shattered. Ooh, I liked Yoni Pickanin. I liked him a lot. Travis C says, good night, buddy. Last comment. Are you going to upload with the Sams in the future? Absolutely. The Sams and I are really, really good friends. Caniac Sessions, like the Caniac Report guys, myself, and the Caniac Sessions guys, we've become like the best of friends. We love doing collabs and stuff with each other. When our schedules line up, we always like doing streams together. The next thing I think we're going to try and get better to get together to do is talk shit about the Chicago Wolves and their fans and their whole organization and their owner because they continue to be problematic douchebags. And that's not going to, I mean, my channel, I don't market it as family friendly anyway, but that's one episode. Put the kids to bed before you watch it. I'll just tell you that right now. I got no love for that organization. I don't like their owner. I don't like all the AHL reporters they send to do hit pieces for them. Don't like anything about them. But yeah, that there will be more cussing. And if you ever saw a movie called Jarhead, there will be more cussing in that episode, probably, at least by me, than there was in that movie. Because I'm really like, at this point, I hate the Chicago Wolves worse than I hate the Buffalo Sabres. That's just this fact of the matter. Casey says, I'll be at the Vegas game. That's awesome. Dylan says, the area is 3.5 hours from me. Close to 4, maybe. Yeah, and pretty soon I'll be able to like go to games and only be like about 4 hours away. And I'm only 5 hours away now, but depending on what time I get out of here, if I don't get past the Crayon Eater Museum in Quantico, the Marine Corps Museum in Quantico by a certain time in the morning or after a certain hour in the evening, I'm pretty much screwed. You think it was Gustafsson? It was? Okay. Oh, sorry. Hold up. Dog accidentally knocked something over. Maniac. Alrighty. Let me finish up these comments here. Coconut Kyle says yes. Popping the popcorn. And Dylan Bollinger says, never mind, I lied. It's 3 hours. I looked. I've only been to one game, which is upsetting. Yeah, definitely go to some more because the ticket prices are going to go up, especially with the renovations to the building and everything. That's part of the reason I'm doing more road games this year, is because then I can make it not just strictly a hockey trip. I can do some other stuff. But I think that this guy is ready for a treat. I haven't given him one. I promised him I'd give him one an hour ago. Casey, you know damn good and well that I knew. The only reason I said that was because I knew you were in here. Hey, come here. Sit. Spin. Spin. Lay down. Ready? Go get it. All right, guys. I'm going to call it a night. It has been a whole lot of fun. I will start working on stuff tomorrow for the pre-recorded show for the Penguins game. Travis, yes, I will absolutely give the doggo some belly rubs. Thank you guys very much for joining me. Thank you so much for the feedback. Thank you so much for the support. I really, really appreciate that. Troll trades, I'll answer that real quick. No, I'm going to reschedule that. Originally, I was going to do that tomorrow night, but Caniac Sessions is streaming tomorrow night, so I'm going to be watching that, and I'm going to start putting the stuff together for the Penguins pregame show, the Landfall Hour for them, and then after that, that's going to be pretty much it for me until I get back from Pittsburgh, which will be on Saturday afternoon, and I'm going to try to do a little something before they play against the Blues. So, all right, boys, I am out of here. Thank you very much. I will see you guys next time.